Sashi Uki Jushin Meto Tram Rira Vinchin Yende Yempadi Sangye Shindu Nite Uardi Troku Nanda Shimla Jivarsho Vidam Guru Brahmanandam Niratayami Sangye Churam Soki Chokram La Chanchu Bardu Dagni Gyatsuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sunamki Tora Venchir Sangye Jupasho Sangye Churam Soki Chokram La Chanchu Bardu Daki Gyatsuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sunamki Tora Venchir Sangye Jupasho Sangye Chodam Soki Chodam La Chanchu Bardu Daki Gyatsuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sunamki Rola Benchir Sangye Jupasho.
You just sit in a nice, comfortable seated position. We're going to do a short meditation before we start class. So make sure your knees are nicely grounded, so you have a nice solid base. Bring your shoulders back so your posture is nice and upright. And find that balance, kind of play with the weight distribution and where your balance is of your spine so that each vertebrae is stacked on top of each other. And you can see that you'll kind of lean forward or lean back or to the right or left, and you'll find that sweet spot where it feels effortless to be sitting up straight. You can put your hands down, face down, or palms down. If you need more solitude, more quiet, more grounding, if you feel like you're a little jazzed up from your long, fun, exciting weekend, if you feel a bit dull and need your heart opened, you can put your palms facing up. So there are just two ways to think about your energy and what you need by assessing your inner state. Start by taking 10 breaths. Inhale, exhale as one, keeping your focus at the tip of your nose. Start by counting to 10, and when your mind wanders, or if it wanders, I'll start back at 1 again. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. want you to think about your day, or it can even be this weekend. And I want you to think about where and if or how you could have thought of renunciation. Since last week, did you think about renunciation at all? Do you remember what it is? Can you try to remember what it means to you? Spend some time thinking about, what does renunciation mean to you? How do you see it as a part of your life, or how could it be more a part of your life? Where did it reveal itself to you during your day, and maybe you didn't notice, or maybe you did? But start to examine today, yesterday, the last couple of days, where you thought about renunciation. And if you didn't think about it at all, think about why you didn't. What consumed you so much that you forgot the first path in the three principal paths? Examine in your life an area where you start to see or feel that the way you thought things actually function and work don't really work that way. It couldn't. It doesn't. That there must be another possible way to look at things. When you're ready, take a couple of extra breaths and you can open your eyes. Is that hard?
Yeah.
That felt hard today in the room. Yeah. I want to see you. Can't hide from me. Yeah, that felt hard today in the room. Renunciation is a hard thing. It's almost like for me, it's like I want to put my finger on it and it keeps moving. Or sometimes there are moments where, for me, I'll look at it and I'm like, what am I doing again? Or what is this again? Sometimes it helps actually even to apply the concept of renunciation into a situation that I'm in or something that I've seen, and then be able to kind of grow from there. Does that make sense? So like a good example that I had today would be My sister doesn't watch these, so it's okay. I can talk about her. But like, my sister and her family are in the middle of packing to move, and I think about them. They've lived in New York for now almost 10 years, and they're over it. Like, everything in the West is better. They're moving out to Denver. I'm really bummed out. But, and it's interesting because, um, when up until the point that they finally decided that she was going to move, they were so stressed out, right? They like wanted to get out of New York. They didn't know how that was going to happen. She ended up getting a really great deal with her company that was like, we love you so much, you can go anywhere in the world and you can still have a job here. Her husband, who's a filmmaker, like won a huge project that is well funded. So they finally felt like, now we have the money, we have the freedom, we're out of here. They finally found a place that they wanted, and they went to Denver, found a home, and it's a beautiful home. They're getting so much more money, so much more space for the amount of money that they pay, of course, because it's Denver. So, and it's interesting because I was thinking about her and what they're going through, and in every step of the process, it's this feeling of like, I need to get out of here, right? And she's so excited that she finally can get out of here, but now she's just stressed out again. Like, she was so stressed out about being stuck in New York. Then she was stressed out about how, she may not get a job in Denver. Then when that happened, she's finally got a place, right? And now she's so stressed out about packing. So I get like emails and texts all the time. I hope it doesn't come through my computer during class. I was like, don't text me during class. But it's interesting to watch that because it makes me think a lot about renunciation. So I'm using, and it's easier to watch her do it because I'm so close to her and I'm watching it. But I also know my disposition, how I kind of behave that way too, in so many ways, of how, it's like you get into this cycle where you just keep wanting more because you think that's going to make us happy, right? And then you do another thing and another thing, where at some point you're just not, it's, you realize when you watch people, it's just not going to go anywhere, right? Like, I've been watching myself recently, and I feel like it's because I'm in class teaching, so I blame all of you for this. But I love shopping. I do. I love like treating myself, and it doesn't have to be expensive things. Like, it's always like a notepad here, and like, pretty shoelaces, or whatever. And I've been walking through Williamsburg, and I haven't been spending that much time hanging out, and so much of it has changed in the last, I would say, in less than a year. The Whole Foods opened up. There's an Apple store. It's insane. And I'm walking, and I remember walking past a Barney's warehouse sale that's 75% off of already. That's like 50% off. So like, to me, I'm like, oh my God, it's like free. I should just go in. But even that, for some reason, I'm watching my mind in those moments and thinking, it doesn't appeal to me as much as it used to. And I've had these moments where I'm like, is class making me depressed? Should I go talk to my therapist? Like, why am I not wanting to buy stuff? But I can see it not fulfilling in the same way that it used to. And so in these ways, you see how renunciation starts to kind of dip in. And I'm like, oh God, here it goes, and that's what happens. So when you do renunciation analysis or an analytical meditation, sometimes you can think of like, what does renunciation mean to me, and try to address that. But if you are having a hard time, sometimes it's easier to have a topic that comes up, where it might be an affliction you have that you've seen happen at work or in your family. Like, I've been dealing with looking at family members that are all like, someone's died in the family, the grandparent, and they're all like going crazy over the will, and like watching that, and you're just, that's a bad situation. But like, in situations like that, where does renunciation come into play, not just in their lives, but also in your life, So it's sometimes easy to come up with samples and then play from there if you need to give you some context to play with, rather than philosophically just thinking, what does renunciation mean to me? So those are just some tips to play with. But that being said, it is supposed to be a struggle. So it's one of those things too, is as you sit and you keep going back into it, because what your brain will try to do is it'll try to shut off. It does not want to deal with that kind of topic. And it is very interesting, the more you start to practice and the more you start to understand how your mind works, it does a lot of really crazy things to just not go there. And we see that happen all the time, right? Like, we do it in physical ways. Like, it's like, when you watch people going to like boot camp. I was talking to a girlfriend who's going to the Bar 3 like class thing that makes your thighs all skinny. Okay, anyway. And I'm like, oh, the skinny thigh class. So, and these trainers push you, right, to be able to show you where your mind says, I can't. And that's why you have, people, you pay them to scream at you, to push you to do more, to show your threshold. And we do that with our physical bodies. Our minds are harder because there's no one that's outside of you saying you're not, stay on your topic, stay on the focus. When you're really off focus, when you're like, that, we all know that. So it's trickier because your mind will start to shut down and say, I don't want to talk about that. I actually want to think about what I'm going to have for lunch, or I really need to dust my, my shoe closet, or like, it goes into these weird things where it has nothing to do with what you're doing on the cushion. So when you feel that, let it do that and struggle with it. And it is a struggle. And then you have these sweet spots that happen that it's just worth it, where you're thinking, wow, that was a really good 5 minutes, and it gets better over and over again. But it's not supposed to be easy. I wish it was a little easier. We're going to do a meditation at the end of class as well that I think will be a nice way to also counterbalance this one. Anyway, welcome to class. I'm going to turn the AC on. I'm sorry, it's hot. We just turned it off while we were meditating. We'll do a quiz for class 6, and we'll divide into 3 groups. Yay. Let's do this. I'm going to have a couple of newish people. So let's do people who barbecued for Labor Day weekend. We'll go here. Any barbecues out here? Anybody who did nothing for Labor Day weekend will go over here. And those of you who weren't really interested in barbecuing or doing nothing, but just went out and had a nice meal with friends, or stayed by yourself but did something, not nothing, gets to be in the middle. And it could be what was predominantly your most interesting weekend affair. Uh-huh.
Wait, what?
This is barbecue.
Barbecue right here?
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't barbecue.
No one barbecued.
Used to be friends. Go barbecuing with.
Oh, let remind me to invite you to nothing, something group in 2. So why don't you do a group here and then a group here? Did everyone have a nice weekend?
No one barbecued. How are you guys? No. Wait, hold on.
You want to go? These two are saying they didn't do it.
Okay. You're in. You're in. There's nothing yet, sort of like a negative connotation. Right.
And so are you 3 years? Okay. I can go there.
So the first question is.
We got another.
Oh yeah. All right. Welcome back. So the first question is, name the 4 principles of action for karma.
I am Sarah. Nice.
You speak up.
Yeah.
Is everybody here?
I would say my name.
No, I was last.
Did you get the link?
No,
Okay, so write your email. And I'll add you to the list. So when you're not here.
I want to record them. Share this somewhere.
So karma is
what is it?
or
not getting the.
Oh,
What is that?
What does that
Karma
mean?
doesn't mean- That's kind of one of the other, you sort of in between.
Once karma expands, great.
Okay, wait.
Oh, that its initial intention
Good produces good, bad produces bad. What is it? Unattractive karma as well.
Yeah, it's almost like a similar result. I think good karma is caused by good action, good thought. Bad thoughts, bad,
That karma is
any action of body, speech, or mind that is positive or they use the word attractive produces good karma, and negative, unattractive. But simply said it's good produces good, bad produces bad.
right.
Karma is definitely the first level of karma.
They're similar. Yeah.
But you can define it more deeply.
Oh, it's not that.
Yeah, you always have similar.
Second law of karma.
We have that too, because we
It
say,
is.
um,
This stuff will come back to in these courses. These four laws of karma are kind of one of those things that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in these courses. This is one of those things that should be memorized. This is like number 1 or 2 of the stuff. The first one is memorize. Yeah. I know it's said a lot, but this is really one laws of karma.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2.
Yeah.
So that
Karma is free. And it's described there
are we all happy?
as a small seed.
What is the point at which you know you have developed experience in yourself?
What?
Yeah.
This is described as you have like a small acorn or an oak tree out of that. Karma expands.
Stop the bad thinking so we can or the bad seed. Stop the bad thinking to weaken the bad seed.
Right. Because if you incorporate that bad karma with it, expand. But then again, you forgive it.
Right, exactly.
Number 3,
It's dependent a little bit on the whole understanding of that real
Don't create a cause, you will never get a result. If you don't create a cause, you will never get a result. Right.
you have to do it to make it successful. It's also, you know, it's a body, speech, and mind. It was something that was said.
Same thing, it just doesn't have the.
And the last one is kind of
you yourself get up
Yeah.
and you know,
I actually was on the train today and I was like, okay, I gotta make sure.
the third one is if you don't create a cause, you don't have the intent. Once you have
Once the cause is established.
you definitely will.
So once the cause is established,
Once a cause is been created, a result must be produced. So the last two is if you don't do it, don't do it. If you do do it,
they are a lot of things that but it's very, but it's not that it's the opposite, it's that it's So it's the same thing. It's to look inside your
farmers and people who are living on that
And also our
It's not a little hard to focus. They are. I just had a couple hours.
Each one is
For me, like what I thought you were saying is two different ways saying the same thing. You don't do it, it won't happen. If you do it, it will happen. You say you don't do it, it won't happen to me, and as soon as I do it, it will happen. We can all
Are you guys
Second
ready?
question is, what is the point at which you know you have developed true renunciation?
Okay.
You want to write that one down?
There's totally an exact quote.
I'll read you what I have too. It's the same thing as it says in the book. Renunciation is developing all the time. Your mind is filled with the desires. It says, the words are something like, I write down all the time. Night and day, I can only think about it.
Right, exactly.
So it's what you, I assume night and day was an analogy to
anxiety all the time now.
He was
I also have written here to be freed from an impure body and stay in the mind.
then you're writing that you start.
But it was really like wanting to be free from, some sorrow. Wanting to be thinking about that. Because a lot of people think renunciation is you gotta give up your car, your family, your,
right.
and it's not that. It's giving up your ignorance.
You want to write that down?
Some of those things, those desire things may be holding you.
Okay, here we go.
Like you gotta give up your family and.
Question 1. Name the
Your loved
4
ones.
principles of action or karma. What is the first one?
Like produces like.
Yeah? Come on over here.
Good action leads to good results. Bad action leads to bad results.
No.
Wait, what? Is that number 1? Are we doing number?
Yeah. Wait, did I?
Good produces good, bad produces bad.
4 principles of action. Yes. Okay, well, there are different orders. Yeah. That's why. Okay, we're going to say the first one is karma is definite.
Right.
Yeah? Good produces good, like, right. But the way we talked about it was right. Like produces like, or good produces good, bad produces bad. That's right. What's the second one? Karma expands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. C, anybody?
You must do, if you do an action, you will absolutely receive the result.
That's right. So the third is, if you don't create a cause, you will never get a result, right? In order for a karma to ripen, there has to be something that you've done to create the causes for that karma to ripen. So If something happens to you, good or bad, it didn't just happen accidentally. In the laws of karma, that doesn't actually work out that way. There's always a cause and a result situation. And to have a result, there has to be a cause. Yeah? Y'all are okay with that? That's a bummer too, by the way. Like that one gives a downer for me. Anyway. Okay, number 4.
Actually, 4 was the one she said, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just, okay, sorry. So let's, so we'll say 3 is this one, and then 4 is the one that you just said. Thank you. Once a cause is established, you will experience a result, right? That every karma can't, there's always a result that comes out of a karma that's being planned, right? It can't just do nothing. Although we did talk a little bit about how, depending on your practice, you can actually neutralize the karma and the power of the karma, but assuming that's not the case, it still has the power to be something, right? There's always a result of a karma. Great. And what is the point at which you know you have developed renunciation? Yes? Yes.
When you think about it all the time?
When you think about it all the time. Yeah. When you're just thinking about it all the time. Yeah. That's right. And that was the phrase that we used last week to speak about that. Great. Okay. Thank you. We're going to go to class 7. So before class started, I said to the few of you that were here that I'm going to start taking some office hours so I can get to know all of you a little bit more independently and get a sense of where you're coming from, getting a gauge of how you feel about class, if you have any questions, concerns. So I'll pass around a sheet during break and then after class, and then I'll be in touch with you directly. And I'll also send out an email for those of the students that haven't been able to attend today. Okay? So, can we say Jongsem? Jongsem. One more time, Jongsem. Which means Bodhichitta. So, you know, I've been studying formally Buddhism for 7 years, and I've been taught about Bodhichitta, and it's as you know, it's one of the 3 principal paths. And I have to say, prepping for this class, it was probably truly the first time I've understood the weight of what Bodhichitta really means. So I will just prepare all of you. It is going to be a bit of a heavy class today, but I think it's important because it occurred to me today, like, when Bodhichitta is considered one of the 3 principal paths, it's not a lightweight situation, right? It's there for a very specific reason. It's not being nice to people at all. It may look that way, but that's really not what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to go into that in depth today of what that means. So Jongsam, if you divide it down, I kind of did this chart this way. It seemed to make sense to me visually. Jong means Bodhi. So Jongsam is the Tibetan. Bodhichitta is the Sanskrit. And Jong and Bodhi. Bodhi is the Sanskrit of Jong. Jong is also a shortened version of Jongchu, which comes from clean or comprehend. So Jong means clean and Chu means comprehend. But basically what you're seeing is Jong and Bodhi means Buddha, Buddhahood. Okay.
Is that related to Lo Jong?
Oh, I don't know if it's the
Jong is
same.
purified.
Yeah,
It is.
I don't know.
Jong. Lo Jong.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Jong.
But Jong means purified.
Yeah, but Lojong, the way it's been written is Jong, and this is Jang. I'm not going to say yes to that. Yeah, because the way Geshe-la has transliterated it, It sounds like a very different.
John Reed's also trained. This is trained.
And then on the other side, you have Sem, which the Sanskrit is Chitta. And sometimes you'll see Chitta written in different ways, and that's just because there's one way to write it that would be meant for really scholars to understand there's two different chis in the Sanskrit alphabet. The way that we'd actually pronounce it is the CH, but sometimes you'll see like a CC. So that's just the difference. But Geshe Michael really, from what I've been exposed to, feels like it should really be the CHITTA. That's how we're going to write Bodhichitta in class. Sem comes from the word semke, and sem means mind, and k means to grow, or means to grow. Okay. Sometimes you will see Dongsam, people will kind of translate it to Bodhi mind. Have you heard that before? Right? Like you'll hear Bodhi mind or Buddha mind. Sometimes you'll hear as Buddha mind because of the Bodhi. And it's important to know that that is not the right translation. So anyone who speaks about Jongsam or Bodhicitta as Buddha mind, you know that that's going down the wrong path. It's really about the mind of which you would want to achieve. It's the state of mind you'd like to. It's a state of mind that you'd like to have that's like the Buddha, but it's not the mind of the Buddha. It's not the Buddha mind. Okay. So when we look at Jang, we have Buddhahood, and the Buddha has cleaned. When we talk about Jangtup in particular, the Buddha has cleaned out 2 obstacles to reach Buddhahood. Do you know what 2 obstacles those would be? Anybody? What are the 2 obstacles the Buddha has to remove to be able to reach Buddhahood? He gets on him, or he or she. Mental afflictions is one. Yeah, great. It's another one. Close. It's the knowledge. It's the obstacles to knowledge and the obstacles to mental afflictions. Those are the 2 obstacles the Buddha has to remove in order to reach Buddhahood. They've cleaned through those 2 obstacles. And then what they get from that is omniscience, which we'll talk about a little bit more.
Can you repeat that? Mental affliction?
They have to remove the 2 obstacles of knowledge and mental affliction. Sem is the mind, but again, it's not the mind of the Buddha. And Bodhicitta, the simple description or explanation or definition of Bodhicitta is the wish to achieve enlightenment for all beings. Okay. So Bodhicitta is the wish to achieve enlightenment for all beings. Yes.
Backing up a touch, the 2 things that we have to worry about as obstacles. I'm confused. We don't want to remove knowledge, right?
No, there's an obstacle to knowledge.
Yeah.
The obstacle
Which is what, ignorance? Or?
It's ignorance, but we're not going to go into that, but it is ignorance. Yeah, it's a sense of ignorance that you. So when we talk about bodhicitta, we say it's the wish to achieve enlightenment for all beings, which I don't know how that feels to you, but that feels like a very big, like daunting task. I remember when I first heard it, it sounded kind of overwhelming because I wasn't quite sure if even I had the wish to achieve enlightenment for myself, let alone for like everyone in this room or even anyone that I knew. The thing that's interesting that we'll actually go into depth today about is that bodhicitta comes from or grows out of renunciation. The feeling of renunciation and bodhicitta are actually the same. The only difference is renunciation is focusing on you and bodhicitta is focusing on everyone else. But they actually feel the same. The feeling that you have of what renunciation means to you, the feeling and understanding that I live in a suffering world, that if I continue to live my life in a certain ignorant way, that I will continue to perpetuate a suffering existence that will never end. And realizing that there needs to be a way out, that this isn't working for me, that I don't want to do this anymore. That feeling that I have for myself, that's renunciation. Bodhichitta is seeing that all of you have the same thing too, and wanting you to get out of it as well. Because I can see that that's not going to help you either. Bodhichitta isn't like, it's not, sometimes you'll hear it as like compassion or love and compassion. It's not. Love and compassion is good. That's not a bad thing. But bodhicitta isn't love and compassion. It can look that way. Bodhicitta is saying, I want to help you get out of this suffering realm, right? It's not like a place of compassion. It doesn't look like we were helping friends move this weekend. And there was so much shit. Like, I can't even tell you, this truck was so big. I've never even seen a truck this big before. And it was cross country, and they weren't moving into New York City. Because if they were, I don't even know if that's possible to park a truck that large. And there was so much stuff in this truck, you know? And they were artists, and they were really, really sweet. But they had like, you know, there were sculptors, and you like bodies of like sculptors and like heads and like weird stuff and art supplies. And a place for me was, I knew the husband, you know, you talk to him and you say, how's it going? He's like, no, it's okay. We're doing fine, you know? And I'm like, okay, forget about you. How's your wife doing? And she's freaking out. She's crying all weekend, you know? And so out of a place of compassion, right, I'm thinking, well, I have time this long weekend. I'm going to go up there. We should go up there and help them move. That's what we should do. That's what we do as practitioners. That's what we do as friends. That's what you do, right? But that's not bodhicitta, right? That feeling of wanting to help, that's not what this is. This is actually looking at them and seeing all that stuff that they have, that they are like feeling like this is what's going to make them happier, right? The fact that they've moved from one city to another city because this is where it's going to be a better place for them to live. The grasping or the wanting and the needing of all this. Like, you know, and we all have like so much stuff. I mean, even in small New York apartments, I don't know how we manage, but it's just like unbelievable how much stuff we're able to just jam into places, right? And realizing that as all the help I can give this couple, right? All the time or even money, right? To be able to help them move or clean this house that they're moving into. That's not going to free them from their suffering nature at all. That's a temporary relief where it feels good for a sec, right? But looking at them and seeing they're a young couple with a young family and watching them thinking, you know, how do they get out of this suffering world? You know, like, what does that look like? How do you really get out of it where it's not temporary, you know? And so when you get to a place where you start looking at people and you realize, I can give you whatever it is that you want, but that still won't do it. Sometimes I think that way about my niece, who I adore and love, but like, there is no end to her needs. I want. And she's in this whole, her name is Lucy. She's in this like, Lucy, mine. Everything is mine. Like, everything you give in front of her, it's always mine. And I'm like, but you can give her more and it's not enough. It's always mine. And it's like, that's not yours. It's actually mine. You know, and I find myself arguing. I'm like, I'm arguing with a 2.5-year-old. I need to stop. Right. But we do that. Right. And so it's like, and so I have these moments even looking at my niece thinking, I wonder if what happens at what stage are we taught, even as children or adults, where having more or having stuff is not going to be the way out. Like, it stops at some end. Logically, we all know that doesn't bring us happiness. That's why you go to the self-help section, and there's so many books that are being sold, because everyone talks about money doesn't buy you happiness. We all know that, right? We all intellectually kind of get it, but then we don't when we're looking for 2-for-1 deals, like me at Whole Foods in Williamsburg, you know, right? Like, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Right? What is really bodhicitta? What does that really mean? And what does that mean for ourselves but also in particular in relation to what does it mean to feel that for other people, you know, and starting to realize that you actually have the power to shift that for not just you, but for all people around you. And it starts with, you know, you'll hear sometimes teachers talk about fake it till you make it, you know, or you just practice the intention of bodhicitta, and that's where you aspire to have or to be a bodhisattva, and that's where it starts, and it will start to infiltrate into into your existence, and then you'll start to shift, and that will change for you. Okay, any questions?
What's a bodhisattva?
Wonderful. It's like actually like a plug. I didn't pay her. Thank you. Can we say Jiangchu? Senpa. Okay. Jiangchu? Senpa. Okay, that's a bodhisattva. Ooh, sorry. What's a bodhisattva? Anyone want to take a stab at it? Someone who has bodhicitta in their mind. Does that sound right to everybody?
I've heard it as a warrior.
Yeah.
Warrior.
So Jiangchu we had from before is Buddhahood. Sem is mind, and Pa is warrior. So that's where you're getting the warrior, which I kind of like the word warrior. You know, if you're ever hanging out with enough Dharma teachers at some point, most of them that I know, I'm just thinking of the handful I know, love, I mean, me included, I love superpower movies. You know, like X-Men is a big favorite. Or what's the other one with Robert Downey Jr., who's just amazing. Iron Man is an all-time favorite. And what you'll see sometimes, Geshe Michael would have groups go out to movies and watch these movies because they exhibit this sense of really what a bodhisattva feels like, you know, on a multiplex 3D surround system, you know, movie theater, but that's what you see. And it's that feeling that you'll see or get a sense from that's heightened in these movies of what a bodhisattva is like. The scriptures will say that the first moment of bodhicitta that arises in your mind is when you actually become a bodhisattva. But when that moment arises in your mind, it's a very deep and profound moment. It's not like something pops up and you're like, oh, I want to be nice to everyone today. It doesn't work like that. It's actually been, I've heard it described as you do have, it's almost like a realization that you do have where your heart actually opens up and light comes from the inside of your heart, radiating light. And you see beings, all the beings in front of you that you want to save. It happens before you, it can happen, it happens, Geshe Michael will say it happens well before, most likely before you reach nirvana. And it can happen before you see the direct perception of emptiness. In fact, you don't even need to have the knowledge of emptiness to be a bodhisattva. Okay.
Isn't it like you were saying when you go to help your friends, you're not really a bodhisattva. It's when it's like what you said about renunciation.
Yeah.
It's all the time.
It's all the time. Yeah. Yeah, you're thinking about it. I mean, it's like, you know, some practitioners are so subtle that when they walk on the street, every breath that they take, inhale, exhale, they're doing a tonglen, which means that they inhale suffering from people. Like they think and visualize, they'll walk on the street and see someone passing and inhale their pain and suffering and exhale everything that they want to give them. And it's a practice called tonglen. It's a meditation. It's really beautiful. Maybe we should do that next class. It's such a wonderful healing meditation. But there are practitioners who actually every breath they're doing that practice all the time. You know, not listening to podcasts like me, you know, or whatever, right? I mean, you can get really that subtle where you're really thinking about it. So, and it's very much motivated with the idea of wanting to help these people from suffering. Did you have a question?
No,
No, please. Tonglen, Tonglen. It's 2 words. Yeah. Sometimes I don't know if they do it now, and you can check, but the morning meditations that they lead here in the morning, I think it's at 8 a.m. That's free. Usually one of the teachers during the week will do a Tonglen, and it's wonderful to have it led. I mean, some of the best Tonglen teachers I've had were actually teachers here who now all have studios and, you know, are famous. And
Also lunchtime. Also 1:30 at lunchtime.
oh, they do a meditation at 1:30 during lunch. It's a great meditation. We can do it next week too. It might be nice, but it really is about practicing what it feels like to feel the pain and suffering that the people around you are going through. The people you love the most is kind of the easiest. You can even use yourself as a topic, as the object, I mean, and you spend time and you really take away that person's suffering, and then you give them all the bliss and everything that they want in their life, in their world. And it's incredibly powerful. People use it a lot also or practitioners will use it a lot for people who are sick or unhappy, or enemies. You know, you'll have teachers that will say, you'll go up to them and say, I can't stand my ex-husband, you know, I just, you know, they'll say you should go Tonglen him. And that's, you know, so things like that will happen, or, you know, people that you're having issues with. Yeah. So, so if you're a Bodhisattva, how do you think that looks like, practically speaking? Like in our modern world, what do you think that looks like to us? How would you imagine a Bodhisattva to be, and how would they be in the world? What would that look like?
Happy. Really happy.
Really happy?
You wouldn't know it.
You wouldn't know it?
No, you wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't know. Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily know someone
Yeah.
were a Bodhisattva.
Yeah.
Because I think for a lot of people, we're uncomfortable about asking for help. So sometimes people are helping you without you even knowing it. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of being a Bodhisattva.
Yeah.
I think I really wouldn't know.
I agree 100% because if we don't know what Buddha when we see one,
Yeah.
how do we know Bodhisattva when we see ourselves or when
Yeah. So when you see bodhisattvas, or I mean, when you think about bodhisattvas, they really, it's not like you're going to see them around and you get it. It doesn't work that way. And they're also considered very high karmic objects as people. So in the scriptures, they talk about how if you ever behave a certain way to them, when you do good things for them, the karmas are incredibly powerful. And it's the same thing with when you do something bad to them and you don't even know. And it's really a way for you to think about how you don't know who's a bodhisattva out there. You know, you never know who's out there. Bodhisattvas can also behave in a way where they can be screaming and yelling. It's just coming from a totally different intention, of which you don't really know unless you can read their mind, right? If you're a bodhisattva and you are yelling at somebody, right, and you did misbehave, do you lose your bodhisattvaness? I just made that up, like bodhisattva. You get it. Do you lose that or no?
Well, if your intention is to help someone, and you still collect a small bit of bad karma for yelling,
Mm-hmm.
but the intention and hopefully the result of the good karma would outweigh that.
Yeah. It's a mixed karma, right? So if you are, the thing about being a bodhisattva is, so once a bodhisattva, you're basically always a bodhisattva. The thing about these different markers that we're going to talk about today is that once you've reached a certain point, like once you've had an understanding what bodhicitta means and you are a bodhisattva, the way it talks about in the scriptures is that your mind is like soaked with it. You can't not be it. It's just the way in which you are. You are that all the time. But it doesn't mean that you've reached nirvana. So you can still misbehave and you know how to clean up your karmas.
But if you are, let's say, if you're yelling out of a good intention, yes, absolutely, you have a mixed karma, so the goods will outweigh the bads. But let's say you didn't. Let's say you actually were yelling because you just messed up, which is possible. In which case, in that moment, you can actually be able to find out how to reverse that as well, because you'll know to clean it up, but you can still misbehave. Bodhisattvas can misbehave. So it's not like they're not Buddhas at all, right? They just have an understanding of what bodhicitta means, but they haven't reached nirvana, in which case, when you reach nirvana, what do you get from that point? Who knows?
No mental affliction.
You have no mental afflictions. So you have no way to plant negative seeds. Bodhisattvas still can technically plant negative seeds. Okay. But if you have bodhicitta in your heart if you have bodhicitta in your heart and you have the direct perception of emptiness, you actually have the ability to reach enlightenment. If you do not have bodhicitta in your heart and you have the direct perception of emptiness, the most you'll get to is nirvana. Let me say that again. Okay. Say it this way. In order to reach full enlightenment, you have to have bodhicitta in your heart. That makes it easier. To reach nirvana, you don't have to have bodhicitta in your heart. Nirvana is just, you want freedom and you want freedom for yourself. That's a very like me only situation. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a different school of thought.
So people actually reach enlightenment
From nirvana?
No, I guess they reach nirvana and then they stay there and then it just works out for them.
For people who reach nirvana?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting. There are debates about that. Like, if you get to nirvana, at some point, do you end up going to enlightenment? You know, if you stay there long enough and understand. There have been arguments of yes and no, and it's something that happens in the monasteries. I haven't heard personally like a yes or a no. I've always just heard it as if. I think it just depends who's debating and where it's. There hasn't been a resolution. There's been different schools of thought that believe in both of those.
It's hard to get.
It's hard.
To Buddhahood after once you're in nirvana, or for somebody to help you get to Buddhahood after nirvana.
Yeah.
You're essentially kind of closed out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. At some point, though, you're in nirvana and you're by yourself, you know, and you're just. Wouldn't you want everyone that you love there with you? And that's the argument, really. It's like at first you're fine and you are blissed out. The argument is at some point you're there for, you know, forever, and you're watching everyone else not be there with you. And so you do. There's been arguments that you actually want to you do generate, and you can generate the karma to be able to go to Buddhahood, right? Yeah.
Two thoughts on this. One is, if your goal is to reach nirvana, you figure if everyone else takes care of themselves, having that goal on themselves reaching nirvana, the net result will be everyone will be in nirvana, which is permanent cessation of your suffering.
Wait, say that one more time.
If you wanted to just achieve nirvana,
Yeah.
so if you're hitting on it,
Yeah.
so all I want to do is to achieve nirvana for myself. You would think if everyone else would take care of their own nirvana also, eventually everyone would achieve nirvana.
You would assume that.
The net result would be the same as if you were a bodhichitta and
Right.
you wanted to achieve
Yeah.
enlightenment to benefit all other beings and bring them to nirvana. In other words, everyone
Sure.
looked after themselves,
Yes.
would reach a world where everyone was
At some
free
point,
from
you're saying it
suffering.
would net out that
Yeah.
way. Yeah, but the question is, yeah.
The difference is, if you are achieving nirvana, as Hannibal said it? Yeah. If you achieve nirvana, you would no longer suffer.
No.
So compassion would not be a component of your
Right.
life
Yeah.
because you don't know suffering. It'd be similar to being a God being where you know no suffering.
Yeah, I think it's
unlike the God where you're not experiencing jealousy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
such.
I
So,
think I've heard both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been both sides of that has been discussed that I've listened to and heard. Yeah. I'll let you know if it happens. Or you let me know if it happens to you. You just let me know
But you won't
how
let-
it goes down
you
because
won't
I
let me know if you're enlightened.
well you can let me know.
Enlightened people do.
You're like, gee, by the way, you can send me a text from there.
Is that a special act?
Yeah, I know. I know, right? I know. What else? Another thing that I heard that I'm going to put out there, and I thought that it's worth for all of you to kind of sit on it and cook it, is another way the direct perception of emptiness has been spoken about is ultimate bodhicitta. The ultimate bodhicitta is synonymous to the direct perception of emptiness. And I just want you to think about that.
Can you say that again?
That the ultimate bodhicitta, it refers to the direct perception of emptiness. Yeah. Which when it starts to go into that realm, for me, it starts to feel like this bodhicitta thing is not love and compassion and being nice, right? It's something else. It's a lot heavier than that. That's for me, it triggers that for me. It's synonymous to, yeah. So if you ever hear a teaching or someone speaks to ultimate bodhicitta versus bodhicitta, when they speak to ultimate bodhicitta, it's synonymous to the direct perception of emptiness. When you have the direct perception of emptiness, you do experience ultimate bodhicitta. Yeah. Okay. So.
If compassion is not the motivation for bodhicitta or becoming a bodhisattva, what is it? Why do bodhisattvas wish to seek enlightenment for the benefit of all others? It's not compassion.
Well, compassion is a result of
Yes.
wanting to have people come out of suffering.
But the
That's the
true
reason.
motivation is not compassion for
The true motivation is understanding that we live in a suffering realm, and it's our ignorance that continues us to live in this realm, and that we want, as a bodhisattva, you want to free people from that suffering, ignorant. You want to free people from that ignorant mindset so that they won't continue living a suffering existence.
So it is a form of compassion.
It's not compassion in that way, though. It's more like it's much bigger than that. It's much more profound than that. It's a level of responsibility and a weight and a capacity that is different than compassion. It will result in compassion. Like you'll see that, you'll see bodhisattvas who are incredibly generous with their time and their money and their resources, however they want to be. But the motivation is really to do something with wanting to free them from this suffering life. So it's big. Compassion almost feels too, yeah.
It's like compassion, like the etymologically
Yeah.
of the word.
Yeah.
It's like being in the position of feeling the same passion with the other person, like being in that passion and then understanding. And I think that maybe Bodhichitta is more like a reasonable, a logic reason to understand that same passion, maybe.
It's in there, right? I mean, you'll see it with compassion or with empathy and sympathy. You'll see it all tangled in.
And yet you hear that people are beings who are in the human realm or the God realm can achieve enlightenment. So obviously it's not only compassion, it's something else. It's a greater.
It is greater. Yeah, because you're really, because like compassion could also look something like, oh, you look cold, can I give you a sweater? Right? It's not that. That's not what this is,
Yeah, compassion really is this world.
Yeah, it's very much like worldly. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it does feel that way, right? It's like it's not that. This is like, oh, you have cancer? I'm so sorry. It's not that even. It's not the cancer. It's not the money. It's not the fact that you're dying. It's not that. It's like there's something bigger going on that we can get you out of completely, where you no longer have to suffer from cancer, where you don't have to worry about that paycheck, where you don't have to live with like infestations of termites, or rats or whatever roaches that we have to do in this. You know what I mean? It's so it's like that. It's a difference of like, let's get you out. I'm gonna help you. I want to free you. It's a very different thing,
So like instead of giving someone a band-aid, you're proving to
Oh,
them
yeah.
the matrix exists and the matrix is the
Right. Yeah. Right. We'll hear sometimes wake up. Like that's another way we'll hear of Buddh, I believe, is the specific translation for wake up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a break there. And then we're going to go into the benefits of being a bodhisattva.
I'm a big fan. So,
I'm pretty sure it's a matter of course.
Give it to me now.
Armando, do you have a? Actually, I'll get a piece of paper.
You need?
I was gonna get a piece of paper and pass it around.
Oh.
To get. Yeah. During this, do you want me to turn off the AC? Are you cold?
No, it's good.
Are you guys okay? Off?
I have a weird. I'm fine.
You're okay?
It's always just me.
Okay.
And me, it's fine. I'm used to it.
Everyone else is like.
We're like a big complex.
So I'll have a piece of paper just going around, and if you want to have office hours, that sounds intimidating. I should make it sound a little bit more interesting, like high tea with me.
That's my date.
Does that sound more interesting? Oh, a date? Oh yeah, we'll do a date, like a speed date, 20-minute speed date. Dharma date. I like that. So we'll keep it short. It'll be something that's 20 minutes. It could be less. It's not for me to interrogate you, but you may feel that way, and I don't mean for you to. I might actually feel interrogated, actually. I think a lot of you guys have questions for me. But it's really just for us to get to know each other and just for me to get a sense of, who you are and what you do and how you like class or don't or want it to be different or where you're getting stuck. And I was just thinking, I think about this every week about Thomas because I've been in class with him for 7 years. And a couple weeks ago was the first time I actually knew about his kids. And I just thought, how did I not know that? And it just makes me sad because you actually do end up kind of meeting these people in these groups, and you'll go to other teachings and you'll be really happy that you see some people, in other places, or you go to a yoga studio, or you're at the grocery store and you'll run into them and and you don't know their names, and I don't know. So maybe it's more for my own benefit, but I hope it will benefit you. Yeah. Before we start, I'm just gonna say, one more other thing. There will be no class on October 4th. That's gonna be the review day, so we'll push that 1 week back, and then do review and then the final. Which I think the final will do it in a fun way. I'm thinking of trying to figure out how to do like a Jeopardy final. I'm trying. I might need some help, but I thought it'd be fun if we did like teams and, Dharma Jeopardy would be kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, no, you have to have the buzzers. Yeah. So the last class will be the 3rd week of October. Yeah. The first week, the 4th, no, not the 11th, the week after that. So the 4th, there'll be no class. I'm going to be going to Alan Wallace's retreat in Garrison. If any of you are interested and want to look into it, Garrison Institute is a wonderful, beautiful institute. It's along the river. And Alan Wallace is an amazing shamatha, Vipassana, Dzogchen meditation teacher. Really, really amazing. And he's doing a 1 week retreat. So if you're interested, you can check him out. I know he does, I think right now they have a wait list for staying there overnight, but they have commuter passes, which basically means you can go during the day and you don't have to spend the money to stay there at night. They also, I think, have a...
The train basically stops.
Yeah, the train, the Metro North stops right there too. It's a really easy commute from Grand Central. I think it's from the 1st to the 7th. So I'll be doing that. And so I won't be able of October. Yeah. His name is Alan Wallace. If you are interested in knowing how to be a good meditator, he is a great place to, I won't even say start. I mean, he's just an amazing teacher. Yeah. Yeah.
Would it be possible to get a contingent from this class?
Yeah, from after being there? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can give you a little debrief of how that goes. And if there's a place where it feels like if we need that, we can try to weave that in. And plus, we've talked about shamatha in classes before, so it might be nice to see what I learn and bring it to you. I'd be happy to do that, of course.
So the 11th is the review?
So the 11th will be the review. So then I guess the 18th is the final class, which is, yeah, good. Okay. So in true Buddhist, or at least Galupa Buddhist tradition, before you start any practice, the scriptures will usually tell you the benefits of it. So they will do this big rundown of all the things that you get from it, and then they won't tell you how to do it, and then you have to come back next week to learn how to do it. So that's how this is going to go down. I'm sorry, but it's the way to kind of, in some ways, it's actually quite nice because at least you know what you're getting yourself into a little bit before you go down that rabbit hole. So we're going to talk about the benefits of being a bodhisattva, or the benefits of cultivating bodhicitta. Okay. This list will have 9 different benefits that have been made up of a few different sources. The first one is Master Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. The second one is Master Chandrakirti's Root Text on Emptiness. And there's a third one, which is funny because every time I try to find the third one, something gets in the way and I can't find out what the third one is, but there is a third source that I can find out if you're really interested. But there are 3 texts that have been used to be able to come up with these 9 points, okay? Good? All right. Can we say Gewa?
Gewa.
Namken?
Namken.
Gigyu.
Gigyu.
Gewa?
Gewa.
Namken?
Namken.
Gigyu.
Gigyu.
So Gewa is good deed. Namken is omniscience. Gi is of. And Gyu is cause. Does someone want to try to work that out? Mm-hmm. So saying if you have bodhicitta, your good deeds are the cause of omniscience. That's right. So if you have bodhicitta in your heart, it gives you the cause to have omniscience, right? Like the Buddha. So the Buddha is omniscient, but not omnipotent, right? There's a very big difference. So omniscience means he, she, I don't know, there needs to be like another word for that. But he can see the past, present, and future simultaneously at the same time. That's what the Buddha can do. That's what omniscience allows you to do. Being omnipotent, the Buddha is not omnipotent, or else what?
There'd be no suffering.
There'd be no suffering, right? The thing about karma that's interesting is that your teacher, and the Buddha included, they can't change your karma. The Buddha can't change your karma. You have your own. You're not omnipotent to change that for you. So it's I even think about that with teachers a lot, because sometimes I think, why can't the teacher, help me do this or do that? But they can't shift that for you. You only have that ability to change your karma. Okay, and that goes the same for the Buddha. So what happens if you do an action with no bodhicitta?